Hi, my name is Britta, and this is the take-home experience. So after looking at the Estate Whiskey Alliance and some of the goals, I identified an opportunity to create an at-home experience that conveys the quality and exclusivity of Estate Whiskey certified products. So the target user for this project are people that are a little bit more immersed in the food and drink culture. So this will include people such as like foodies or whiskey nerds or whiskey connoisseurs, people that are working in the industry. And looking at initial research, I just kind of looked at some of the current products that are available on the market, such as subscription boxes or tasting boxes, and looking at those food pairings of what pairs well with different whiskeys. So moving on, since this box is so regionally tied, I looked at different whiskey producing regions, such as Canada, the United States, Scotland, and Japan. And in the final take-home experience, that's shown throughout the tasting experience. So each box would include 6 different tasting components, and then the consumer would be able to bring this box home and have that experience in their home, while also collecting these boxes as they have the ability to be modularly stacked in different configurations.
Hi, I'm Katie, and my project is on terroir education, specifically teaching consumers about what terroir is and how it applies to the Estate Whiskey Alliance, because estate whiskeys have a unique terroir that can't be expressed in other whiskeys due to everything being created on site. I think that is a really compelling point for them that may get them interested in estate whiskeys, is giving them that tangible difference from a standard whiskey that they usually would purchase. Or if they already are interested in the Estate Whiskey Alliance and have owned an estate whiskey, it gives them more of an experience because they are able to sort of taste something unique and think about things creatively as they are drinking, because they are understanding where it comes from. So I did this by creating a web page that's interactive. So it starts with this basic, just like scrolling through a website that tells you just what's terroir regionality, so they understand that terroir is different depending on where you are. Just the 4 key aspects of terroir that I found to be most important, which is climate, soil, water, and grain varietals. The uniqueness of estate whiskey, so it can tangibly tell them why estate whiskeys are important for terroir. And then I have 3 different interactive elements. One is a terroir map where you can click on it and it'll tell you the terroir of different distilleries. One that is the taste of home, where you can input your zip code and hear about your own terroir. And then find your whiskey, where you can hear about the terroir of the whiskey that you currently own. Thank you.
So my project is the traveling display for the EWA. So in beginning a lot of the research, I noticed that there was a lot of displays in the public that helped inform about their brands and their companies, so I wanted to try to convince that for the EWA. So my project goals were to inform the public, to make this transportable, and the ability to update change rapidly, since the EWA is just going to be constantly growing. So I started within 3 categories, stand, rooms, and wheels, and I did pros and cons, and the stands ultimately won out. So for convention center displays, I kind of did the 3 personas that I thought people would use this of: EWA employee, a distillery owner, and a whiskey enthusiast who may want to learn different things about whiskey or different types of memberships. So kind of the design constraints that I had were fitting this within a 10 by 10 feet square space and a 20 by 10 feet space, and while for shipping in an 8 by 8 foot pallet with 8.5 feet tall. So creating multiple different pieces that allow for a modular system for people to be able to move around within the display. Creating different key points of information where people can go look for themselves, and having it all transport into one display.
My name is Abby McGuire, and for my Estate Whiskey Alliance project, I drew inspiration from other industries that I was passionate about. So, for example, when I'm grocery shopping or shopping for clothes, I'm always looking into the sustainability aspect. So not only is that applicable in those industries, but with farming and the whiskey industry as well. So I started out researching just different regenerative agricultural methods and looking at the pros and cons, why farmers are practicing them, and how consumers are making their choices. And I really learned the most when I was interviewing farmers. So not only are small-scale farmers practicing regenerative methods but large-scale ones as well. But that's where you're really going to learn the most valuable insight is from firsthand interviews and creating emotional connections with them. So a lot of people are not familiar with regenerative agriculture, but next month with Maker's Mark coming out with their first certified regenified barrel, I thought it would be an interesting and kind of a full circle moment to tie back into the EWA and regenerative ag.
I did a Estate Whiskey Alliance display case. So some of the opportunities that I saw was to grow the Estate Whiskey Alliance as well as educate people on it, sharing the story, and then I created this saying, which was open your doors to the EWA. So my early research, I went to some local liquor stores and I met a lot of people and a lot of whiskey connoisseurs, and I asked them what makes them unique, what makes them stand out from other connoisseurs, and they said something that's eye-catching in their collection, something that people would want to go up to and look at and learn about stuff. So I created this display case. I used lighting to attract the eye, and then there's three things that came to my mind whenever I was learning about the EWA, which was transparency, which I use in these transparent doors here, as well as the use of circles to replicate the 75-mile radius that makes these distilleries a state, which I have with this light here and the circle lighting, that a circle will shine on this back panel whenever the bottle is away from it. And then whenever I set it down, it creates a natural environment, kind of showing like a ripple effect with water. So then I had wanted to make it multifunctional, so I have these removable coasters so that whenever you're in a room, the light shines down, and then I have plaques on the inside of these telling information, as well as the original founding members of the EWA.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and I focused on the social media aspect of the EWA. I first looked into their social media and specifically Instagram to kind of see where they could improve. And then I went into looking into their members as well as consumers. And Instagram is a very valuable platform because the overlap between ages of whiskey enthusiasts and Instagram users is like 1-to-1 almost. So I went into developing some personas and templates after that, and came to my conclusion of this template style with this color palette, which is based on the estate whiskey process. And there would be posts. These are not all of my posts here. This would be evolved a little bit more, and there would be posts that a member could post on their Instagram to kind of say, hey, I'm in the Estate Whiskey Alliance, and this is who they are, and we really stand for their values, and kind of promoting them as well as promoting that brand themselves.
Hi everybody, my name is April Garcia, and my focus was repurposing EWA's waste. At first, I focused on understanding the aesthetics, going to a liquor store and asking people which bottle they would buy just because of the looks, and then to understand the aesthetics, the stuff that they lean towards. Then I started to dive into the whiskey waste, and I selected the waste that I wanted to repurpose, this being wood, copper, and metal. Then I want to create an emotional connection with my audience and my customers, so I analyzed the whole whiskey environment. So what do they like to do, what stuff they have in common, so I can create a product that they don't only like because it looks pretty, but it's something they can connect to. And then here is my ideation. I had a lot of different ideas like musical instruments, jewelry, perfume bottles, gadgets, and these are my two final concepts, which was a mini fridge and sunglasses. I decided to go towards the sunglasses just because it's a lot easier to produce. Then here is my frame and temple form study, where I designed the sunglasses, and then here is my iterations, how it went from cardboard to to CAD, and then my designs, which was inspired by this process. This part right here is inspired by this process, and every single curve is inspired by the copper steels. This one was inspired by corn, and this one right here is inspired by barrels.
Hi everyone, it's Caitlin. You all may remember from the last time I presented that I've been looking at how to educate consumers about the whiskey production process and specifically how estate whiskey is unique. After our last presentation, I moved into creating a persona and visual languages for each of these 3 personas that might be interested in learning about whiskey and the production processes. And from these personas, I was able to devise a final visual language that sort of captures the essence of the Estate Whiskey Alliance. And then after creating a final visual language, I was able to create a rough prototype of how the website would work, how it would lead users through the production process, and how it would highlight how estate whiskey is unique versus other whiskeys.
Okay, so mine is on like integrating EWA education within restaurants. So I started off like looking at restaurants, going to restaurants, looking at menus, advertisements, and displays, like trying to see what type of whiskey education is successful and unsuccessful. But really, I couldn't find any whiskey education whatsoever in any restaurants. So then I tried to like make what I'm doing unique. So I looked at interactive experiences and games, and I took that game idea and created this, which originally was a puzzle, but I thought on it and thought at it, and these pieces are just gonna get stolen, so it morphed into more of just a statement piece that goes on each restaurant table. And so each little piece here represents the whiskey distillation process. There is a QR code to the EWA website and a little paragraph paraphrasing what this piece is for, what the EWA is, and what these little pieces represent.
I'm Alexander.
And I'm Anna.
And we're a team website. So initially when we began our process looking into the Estate Whiskey Alliance, we found the current website is a huge area of opportunity. When we were scrolling through it as a blind consumer, we were having some trouble finding information, the organization information, and the content on there. So we decided to move forward and break down the user flow of the current website and pinpoint some pain points that a user might find as they're going through the website. Based on that, we found some specific goals, such as adaptability. We want the website to be responsive on a desktop and for mobile view, and we wanted the information to be easy to change. We wanted quality content, pictures, text, testimonials. We wanted aspect of storytelling, the creation of the Estate Whiskey Alliance and what they do. And we also wanted it to be user-friendly because we identified many different users that are going to be coming to this website, and we want the website to be able to fit the needs of all of those users and not pinpoint ourselves into one specific user and miss out an opportunity to gain insight from another. So those users were a whiskey nerd, a whiskey bar owner, a potential member or distillery of the Estate Whiskey Alliance, a current member, and a general consumer.
So for some of our website iteration, we started by mapping out the current website and then mapping out what we wanted the new website to be. So on the current website, there were already a lot of headers and we wanted to add a research and a shop page. So an example of kind of a change that we made was combining the events and news and making it into an explore page, or moving the Our Team to like the About page. And then for our wireframing, this is kind of our iterations of the layouts that we wanted to use on the website pages. So a major change that we made is on the homepage. At first we had it marketed towards potential members, but then we realized that with the release of new estate whiskey certified products, that more consumers would actually be coming to the page just from Googling it, Googling the Estate Whiskey Alliance. But so then we changed our homepage to be more marketed towards consumers.
Well, hey, I'm Gabriel. My project was focused on enhancing prospective member recruitment. And so the biggest thing is that the State Whiskey Alliance has this huge potential to grow, to bring in new members from all over the world. And the biggest tool that the Whiskey Alliance has is the website. And so I was focusing on improving the website to have it more directed to future members. What I did was I started out with a discovery phase. So thinking about what are the reasons that current members said they joined the Alliance, because that gives us insight into what future members would also want to join. I also looked at what is the process that a prospective member would go through, starting out with, okay, I've heard of the State Whiskey Alliance, I have a question, where do I go? I go to the website. What gaps are there in information that we can address? I took that to the design phase where we've got wireframes of the projects and slowly developing and growing and adding more information to then get a final product where we have a landing page with a lot of good information. And we also have sub-pages with a research page, a whiskey information page that is also beneficial for the consumers looking at the website. And also we have a membership page, of course. So that was the gist of my project, and I would be happy to tell you more if you would like.
Hi, so my name's John Edwards, and I will be talking about my project here, which is designing for innovative education. So first off, with my problem statement, I looked at the lack of awareness of estate whiskey. Not many people know about the story it tells and the different informative topics that EWA addresses. So with the objectives, I wanted to address storytelling, transparency, exposure, and recognition. So looking at different websites of distilleries, I first started with Heaven Hill Distillery, found that their 3D distillery tour on their website was very engaging. So I looked into developing that, found augmented reality was the best way to present the information in an engaging way. And then looking at different examples, eventually came to the conclusion of my augmented reality experience, which is here. So this is like a farm of, it could be any distillery. I just made a 3D model right here so you can walk around and play an animation which is presented on this laptop right now. I plan to make this a little more cohesive together and develop for a future plan of being more interactive as well in an augmented reality space.
My goal working with the Estate Whiskey Alliance was understanding their needs to bring their product to the market effectively. So doing research, we understood that consumers only like to try new whiskeys if they're good and the taste is established as a repute among friends and family. So people don't really learn from information in stores. So I focused on a consumer demographic that went to bars. So millennials are currently the biggest whiskey drinkers in the US. I wanted to impact them by providing a bar trivia marketing app so it would reach people where they're most there. And the goal is to provide learning, but also a positive experience to make that learning engageable.
Hi, so I decided to focus on consumer-to-consumer events. I started off with interviewing some people, and they all said that they would like to see an event geared towards consumers. So then that led me to being like, how in the world do I do that, Zoe? So I did some research and I discovered event marketing, and I thought that was very beneficial because it provides two-way communication. It's a positive impact. It's positively impactful for brands, and it engages the senses, and it's fun for both the host themselves and the guest. So then how do I use event marketing in a controlled environment? I discovered event kits, and I have that defined here, and So I decided that I wanted to make an estate whiskey event kit. And what would be laid out in that, it would have pamphlets for advertising the event. There'd be customizable invitations. There'd be 40 branded coasters, 2 per participant, that could be a take home. There'd also be shot glasses that people could win in a raffle, and some flight trays for tastings and other things. And then I really decided to look into the form factor of it, and I wanted it to be like a barrel, but a circle isn't great for storage, so I decided to make a barrel that is a box. So I have my mock-up of that. There would be like metal here that would help mimic a bourbon barrel, and the lid would also be symbolic of a bourbon barrel, and there'd be compartments in it for each component of the kit. And then the kit itself would be targeted towards bar and restaurant owners. This would help promote the bar or restaurant as well as the EWA, and really new is let the bar or restaurant owner know what they're selling. Yeah.